There are few things that have shaped my world more than robotics, and there is one memory in particular that stands out. My teammates and I 3 years ago stopped by a rookie team's pit because we noticed they were having problems with their robot. Smoke was coming out of their motors and their sole programmer was typing furiously at the laptop. Now, instead of leaving them be and doing better at the competition on our own, we helped them diagnose the problem and get their robot working. To thank us, their programmer gave us a small item that represents FIRST. And that's the FIRST Robotics team pin. And these pins are given out throughout the competition, and I still have a large stash of them in my room. Now, my time on Team 4818, though it was quick, I'm still a part of the global robotics family. And I still volunteer at the competitions that I used to be in. And I truly believe that the core values of a community can be represented through items. So I will talk about the values that this pin represents and why I still identify with the culture. So first, I'll talk about how the pin is used. So every FIRST Robotics team has a pit area, and their teams build their robot, diagnose problems, and speak to other teams about their robot. And after giving and receiving help at the pits, buttons are exchanged to remember the teams that they've talked to. And the more that a team is remembered, the more likely that they are picked by a top 8 alliance for the playoffs. And now that I've talked about how the pin is used in the FIRST community, I'll talk about some of the cultural values that it represents. So the values that it represents are 2 of them: cooperation and innovation. Now I'll start with cooperation. This is a phrase actually coined by FIRST and is a hybrid of 2 words, cooperation and competition. Now it seems like these 2 values are opposite, but both come into play at FIRST Robotics competitions. Though teams compete for the highest ranking points during the competition, and also compete for Chairman's Award, it is still a value of the FIRST community that everyone still learns from each other. And the point is to make friends from other teams, to figure out what works and doesn't work for robotics, and to also network so that teams are more likely to pick you for an alliance come playoffs. And since the game is played on alliances, no one gets to do all the tasks alone, so it's better to cooperate. And how the button comes into this is that every time a button is exchanged, it kind of symbolizes that cooperation has occurred. Now going on to the second value, through the exchanges, new ideas and better ways to build the robot are born, which is why the pin represents innovation as well. So now that I've talked a little bit about the values that the pin represents, I'll talk about how this culture is important in my life today. And the FIRST Robotics culture has really set the stage for how I view the engineering field and how to conduct myself in it. As a student, I found because of my first experience, it feels safe for me to try new things, to fail and learn from my mistakes, and to meet new students and mentors. And the values of cooperation and innovation are also important in my life today. I make an effort to network, which has opened doors to many wonderful opportunities. I've learned to give and receive help from fellow classmates and professors. And I've also learned to think outside the box, both in engineering and in life. Now, though this seems like a simple pin, as I've talked about it before, the functions that the pin carries out represents the values of FIRST. The pins are exchanged by team members, and they represent cooperation and innovation. And these values live on after graduation in every student for years to come. And just as the pins are exchanged, so too are the ideas of how to change the world through a STEM education.